On this episode 141 of the podcast, I'm going to talk about size, contradictions. Is it actually a contradiction? I don't really know. And faces. So let's get into it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Luke Who's Talking podcast. I've had some feedback over the phone recently, and also I'm not going to be, so on the weekend just gone, some friends and I went out, and we went to a cocktail bar in town, and the guy who runs it is an absolute babe, like an absolute flirt, real wholesome, affable guy. Good banter back and forth, and there was like lots of banter about I was just there for content, but there's going to be none of that in this show, everybody. Okay. And I've also had some feedback. A friend of mine, a listener, undisclosed listener, was like, oh yeah, so the podcast, it's been pretty sustainable, hasn't it? You just like riffing about stuff. And I was like, yeah, I suppose it has been sustainable, like not in a financial capacity because the podcast doesn't make any capital. So there you go. Anyway, everybody, let's get into the first little story for you. So I was out on my bike last week for a ride. That is unsurprising, but when you're on the bike, you just, because I go road riding, and if you're by yourself, like there's nobody to talk to, obviously, and there's just a lot of time for thinking, which is bad. It can be bad at times, but anyway. So it's sort of springtime here, so that means lambs and calves in the paddocks. So I went past a paddock, had some cattle in it, and some fresh babies. I reckon maybe some calves there might have been a week old or so. They were the Hereford cattle, so they're the brown, mainly brown, like the red, with the white faces and the white socks of white on their chests and underneath them, and white ends of their tails. So whenever you see a baby or a calf, the white is like super nice and clean, nice and fresh. Anyway. So I saw this calf, and I thought cows and calves, and I was like, oh, look at her little calves. Aren't they cute, right? Because they're little. And then that sort of got me, this is what happens when you're out on the bike. You got nothing to think about. So I was like, oh, yeah, the calves are little. But then that led me into this frame of mind of, well, yeah, the calves are little, but only in relation to the full-size cow. Like, a calf, when it is born, is as big as a medium to large dog. Like, they're not small, okay? But then, like, comparatively, I guess you could say, a lamb is actually small when they're born, because a sheep is really the size of a medium dog, right? So, like, you would say that a lamb is small in a generic, like, term, generic sort of, sizing. A lamb is small, but a calf isn't. Like, calves are quite big even when they're just born, but they, of course, are small in relation to a cow, because cows are, like, big animals, decent-sized animals. So that'd be like, like an elephant baby would be, massive just by itself. Like if you had a little bit, oh, looks a little elephant, but it would actually be huge. But like a elephant, of course, an elephant baby, they're calves, aren't they? I think, yeah. Like an elephant calf compared to an elephant is, of course, tiny. But an elephant calf just by itself, you'd be like, oh, it's massive, because it's an elephant, like calf, and they're huge. But I didn't get onto this elephant train of mind, thought process whilst on the bike. But yeah, I just really. Saw the little calves. I was like, oh, look at them. Aren't they like small and stuff? But then that of course led me into the frame of mind or the thought process of, well, yes, the calf is small, but only in comparison to said cow. Like a calf by itself, or objectively, a calf is not actually small. It is like they are the size of a medium dog. Medium to large dog, really, the size of a calf. But then, as I said, a lamb is small, just like in general terms, a lamb is small. But, that said, a sheep is really as big as a dog, a large dog, really. Is an average to large dog, medium to large dog, I don't know. It's as big as a dog, right? A sheep. So, yeah, it's just like, that's like saying, oh, yeah, a baby is small. Well, a baby is small, but a baby is also very small compared to like a person. But if you had a baby next to a kitten, the baby would be huge, right? Or a baby next to like a puppy that's just been sort of born. Like the baby would be big in comparison. So it's interesting like how the scale of size works when, like, with what you're comparing it to, sort of thing. Like calves aren't small, they are big, but compared to their mothers or their other bovine citizens, other bovine companions, it's not but compared to cows, full-grown ones, a calf like is small, but a calf objectively is not actually like a small thing. Anyway, this is what you're coming for, the random stuff. Let's get into a bit more of it. So Saturday here in Oz Vegas, was it in New Zealand as well? Maybe, I don't know. Was Father's Day. So we had a family Father's Day gathering. So we went to my, what can I call them? Like in-laws? No, because it's not my partner. I don't know. In-laws, in-law? Is that how that would work? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, went and had some lunch. Went and had like a family lunch with one of my with my siblings' partner's family. Right? Anyway, so said siblings, and I thought I love old people. I don't love. In this context, I love old people, and I love people who like contradict themselves. And in recent times as well, I've been really on board with people who have an opinion. Now, if I have an opinion, I like to be able to, or I at least think I can somehow back it up. I love though when somebody has an opinion, you quiz them on it and they just like fall apart. They can't answer, say, a very basic question. You might be like, if just say they make a claim about finances and you could ask them like what you're working out on that. And it's like, it goes down the loot like straight away because they just have made it up sort of thing. Anyway. Now, said old person who was there, I'm trying to be very coy about this, right? I'm not naming names, not outing anybody. I guess I kind of am, but So, old person there making a claim about, it was like something like, oh, if one person complains, they'll change, whoever they are, they'll change, the rules. Right, whatever. So, I guess the concept is if you're a singular person and you complain that a bread bag is pink, the colour will be changed because you've complained. I don't know. But the claim was like one person complains they'll change whatever. Or, okay. So they went on to, like the soapbox was out, went on a riff about that. I was kind of half listening, but then also didn't really, whatever. Then they like immediately got into a story where and I'm sure they then before they even started, they were like, well, I'm only one person. Okay. But they then went on to a story about where they had complained about something. Them, only one person. They had made 2 complaints, but they only, complained. Only one person. They've complained about something and haven't got any tangible result from said complaint. And that is like straight away instant contradiction. It's like, oh, yeah, geez, you complain about one person complains, I'll change it all, man. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then then instantly get into, oh, yeah, so I've complained about something and haven't got a result. I do not need to say any more. It was like, I didn't really think about it much at the time, but then later on I was like, hold on. So they're like of the opinion one person complains. Oh, and then they're going to change the world because one person had a whinge. But then, of course, instantly got into, oh, yeah, so I complained about something. Right, me being only one person, haven't got a result. So, brilliant. Love, the logic at times. It's quite comical. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up with this last little thing. Once I think about what this next little riff is, I'm just like, why am I even talking about it? Let's get into it. It's not, yeah. Now, facial expressions are interesting, unusual, different, nice, etc. So, and I am a fan. I am pro when somebody has a very concentrative / serious kind of look in their face. I think it depends who it is, but sometimes I'm like, hot. Love the serious kind of look on the face. It's pretty good. So the other day, once again, I was on my bike and I was coming up behind somebody they were fit. They had broad shoulders. They were a gym goer. Had the over-ear headphones on, classic gym person. They had tights on as well. Classic gym goer. Fitness person, right? Which is you're fit, brilliant, you go to the gym, whatever. Cool. So I went past them on my bike. That's fine. So I went to where I wanted to, did my loop around, come back on the same path, and this person was still on it. They, of course, had progressed their position. So I was coming towards them. And sometimes, I'd say generally speaking, when you go past somebody when you're on your bike, they'll give you a smile or there'll be a nod or something like this. But this particular person, nothing. Like a blank, a stern, serious face. A stern and serious face, one of concentration, one of no emotion. And I mean, maybe they were just busy listening to their podcast, assuming they were listening to a podcast. Imagine if they were listening to this one. They're listening to whatever, maybe. They might have just had their headphones on. They might have been not happy that I had gone past them before and, whatever. But it's interesting, just facial expressions. Now this, I was very, I don't know, was I intrigued by this? I don't know, but I think it was just the seeming lack of emotion. But then if it's sternness, well, that is an emotion within itself, isn't it? But it's just very kind of blank, serious. I'm in my zone. I'm in my mental area. Leave me alone. Don't enter it, kind of thing. So it's very, I think it's just sometimes, maybe if you're listening to this right at the office, or maybe if you're out walking around listening to this, I think you can just scan around at the look on other people's faces, if you can see them, that is, and just kind of judge maybe what sort of facial expression are they pulling, or maybe there's a story. Think maybe is there a story behind their look that they are expressing. So I just was kind of I just thought this particular look this person had on their face, very stern, very kind of serious, and very blank. As it just seemed interesting to me. And it's like, well, like facial expressions are. Some people are very emotional and are very emotive with the face. Other people are very just getting the job done. So that's very interesting. Anyway, that's it for that little story. We'll be wrapping it up very soon. Well, everybody, thank you very much for listening to this episode of the podcast. Now, this is a little bit of a heads up for you. I will be doing some house sitting, starting to do some house sitting in October, pretty much the month of October. So there may not be a show in October, or any shows in October, because I will be house sitting. I will see what happens. But there might not be one. It depends. Maybe I might come home one day and put a show together. Like I will see. I will like no promises, as it were, in regards to that. So I'm just giving you the heads up now. There will be one in a couple of weeks. I'm planning, of course, for there to be one in a few weeks, which will be, when will the next show be? The 26th. So just letting you know, though, there might not be anything come October. Is that right? Yeah. Shit. October. My goodness. Anyway, everybody, I'm doing stuff on the computer here. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. And I will see you. I will talk to you. You will hear from me in the next show. Have a good one. Bye.